Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of In Ohio Country. Today I'm Big Dan Wilson, and this week we have a very cool feature story for you. Our special co-host Amanda Mangan gives us a tour of Ravine's Edge, where they make maple syrup up there in Medina, Ohio. It's one of my favorite products here in the Buckeye State, Ohio maple syrup, so it's a great story. In addition to that, she interviews Jen Freeman. She is president of the Ohio Maple Producers Association, and we'll be talking about the importance of the Ohio maple industry here in the Buckeye State. We'll have that feature story and more this week in Ohio Country Today.
If you follow the tubes through the forest and down the ravine at one farm in Medina, you'll find a sugar house where maple syrup is made. Ohio is one of only 14 states in the country where maple syrup is produced. A visit to Ravine's Edge Farm was one of the stops on the Ohio Maple Producers District 1 tour. I caught up with Carly Gavlak, owner of Ravine's Edge, outside of the sugar house.
So first off, tell me about this district tour and why it's important to the maple industry.
So the Ohio Maple Producers Association has an annual meeting every year. The state of Ohio breaks up the Ohio industry into 5 districts. This year it is in District 1, so Medina County is hosting it. And I don't know what else.
Well, talk about this farm in particular and how you all got started.
So we started about 5 years ago, and we actually lived a few houses down. My husband was a Marine, and he came home and just needed some extra help, guidance, and whatnot. So when we've been looking for land, this property finally came up for sale, and I was actually having our 3rd kid, and he came to the hospital with papers and said, hey, the house down the street is on for sale and it's 10 acres, we're gonna move. So after we had her, we came and we moved, and then as we were looking at the woods and the property and whatnot, we realized that it had a bunch of sugar maples on it. So we actually had our neighbor that used to make maple syrup, and he kind of tinkered around with my husband, Brett, and they did, just some backyard, few trees, sugaring, and he enjoyed the process. So then when we came here, he started doing his own little thing. He had his own little, cooker with his fry pans and his little umbrella, and started making it. And as the years progressed, we started tapping more and more. And then now we built the sugar house, got the evaporator, started making more quantities, and started doing farmers markets, and then getting into a few different shops, and kind of grew from there.
People may not realize what an absolute gem this is right here in Medina, right?
Yes. Yeah, so it's hard to, there's not a lot of sugar bushes around here. If they are, they're very split up into smaller lots and whatnot. So we are very excited to, have this as part of our property, and then we also tap our neighbors on both sides and, across the street and whatnot. So we kind of make it like a fun little neighbor thing as well.
So talk about the sugar shack that you have back there and what all goes into that in processing the maple sugar that you get.
So this is the sugar house, and we have a 2x6 evaporator, stainless steel evaporator. All of our trees in the woods are on some type of ravine, which came from our name because our main lines are all in deep ravines. So we have secondary lines that go from the trees to the main line into the ravine, and then the ravine comes out into big totes, and that's how we collect our sap. And then the sap gets pushed from the totes to the sugar house, and then it gets evaporated down into syrup.
And talk about the maple industry in Ohio, just in general, because it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, maple's a fun, it's a lot of work, but it's, it's one of those natural resources that we have for Ohio, and not all states have it. It's only, there's maybe 13-ish states that actually produce, and then we got big Canada, and that's it for, the 50 states. So it's pretty nice and, heartwarming to have this, as part of as a natural resource for Ohio.
It's a really important agriculture industry that's right here in the Buckeye State.
Yes.
And so talk about the season in and of itself. What's that timeline like for you all?
So the actual season starts in the spring. So it's usually the end of February through March, sometimes through the beginning of April. Sometimes it ends in March. So every year is a little bit different. Every year fluctuates in weather. So you have to have the freeze at night and the thaw during the day for the sap to run through the trees, and so we have to have that fluctuation in temperature.
So about how much do you produce in one season?
So everyone's a little bit different. I mean, you can, depending on what kind of evaporator in your process and whatnot, you can make, anywhere between a gallon to, hundreds of gallons. It takes 40 gallons of sap, 40 to 50-ish, depending on your sugar levels, to make 1 gallon of syrup. So the conversion rate is a lot of evaporation. So yes.
It's a long process.
It is, yes.
Another portion of the District 1 tour included dinner and a meeting of the Ohio Maple Producers Association members at the Common Ground, site of the former Smucker's Pickle Factory. The warehouse has been converted and includes small businesses, rock climbing gym, kids space, art studios, axe throwing, a coffee shop and bar. One of the shops featured includes products from Ravine's Edge. OMPA President Jen Freeman discusses the importance of Ohio's maple industry.
So first off, tell me about the District 1 meeting that's going on and the tours that are happening here in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, it's very cool. So every year we have a meeting in a different part of the state. We've got 5 districts in Ohio, and we have our annual maple meeting in a different district of the state. So this year, District 1 is holding it here in Medina. And our tours have been fantastic. So we got to go see Soil and Water today. We got to go to a laboratory. We got to go to a distillery and then a maple farm. And there's just so much neat things and diversity. Like, I have never been to any of these places that were planned for today. So it was great.
And realistically, the maple industry is so important in Ohio. And Ohio is one of only a few states that produce maple.
Right. There's 14 states in the United States that produces maple syrup. So Ohio's one of them. And we've got a stronghold on the market too. So outside of just our regular markets of selling maple syrup is the agritourism as well. We hold the Maple Madness Tour every March. And it's a drive-it-yourself tour with about 50 sugar houses open. So you can go and drive and visit all these sugar houses. So the agritourism is such an essential part. We have people coming in from out of state for this. So they stay for the weekend. They visit the restaurants. They hit other shops besides the maple.
So what are some of the things that are happening during this meeting tonight specifically that are really important for the industry as a whole in the state?
So it is us getting together as a membership once a year. We talk about things. We do meet outside of this as well, but it's a chance for everybody in the state to get together and meet and talk about what's going on. But we also fill them in on what's going on nationally and internationally with maple.
Because some of the things that you all face are what is being faced by all farmers in terms of invasive species, weather conditions. It's been rough for everybody, right?
There is so much. Just even labeling, simple labeling laws that we had some lobbyists in Washington working for us, and they got that fixed. So we don't have to put this additional information on the labels, which was not necessary. Yeah, there's so much, like you just said, invasive species. There's new techniques coming out all the time. There's new markets to face and handle. And then it's hearing what consumers need out of us as well.
People may not realize just how much the maple industry has evolved over time and how much it's changed really rapidly, right?
It has tremendously. A big part of it was just people wanting to know where their food came from or comes from. So coming out to meet your producers, knowing where that food comes from. And then there's so many folks too that cannot eat processed sugars anymore. They're either allergic or choose not to have it in their diet. So maple is a great alternative, and it has so many health benefits to it. And also for folks that are like diabetic, let's say, it is low on the glycemic index. It's a natural sugar that most people can process very easily.
Well, why not buy Ohio made, right?
Exactly.
It's
yeah,
the best.
It's the best. Yeah, I am definitely a syrup snob, and Ohio maple is like the best syrup I've ever had.
And it's so incredible how it can vary based on regions and districts. And just based on the different trees, right? And the age of the trees. There's so many different factors, but Ohio's got the best maple hands down.
Absolutely. Right? And it's because of our rich growing grounds too. When you get up to the Northeast, which everybody thinks Vermont, Maine, all that for their syrups, but their growing conditions are so poor up there. It's rocky, mountainous regions that 100-year-old trees could still only be 6 or 8 inches. Here we are blessed with great soil conditions, and our 100-year-old trees look like they're 100-year-old trees.
Ohio has such fertile ground, really, realistically.
Yeah, we are definitely blessed with what we've got, because when folks come down from the Northeast, they just can't believe the size of our trees and the health of our trees as well.
And it's such a strong industry, really, in Ohio.
It is, yeah, it very much is. Not just in Ohio, but nationally too. We just got back from a national meeting, but Ohio, we are gaining by leaps and bounds every year. Producers, anywhere from small too. So a lot of folks will have just 2 taps in their yard, enough to make enough syrup for themselves for the year. But we've also got folks with 10 and 15,000 tap sugar bushes. So it's a very diverse group, and that's what's here with us today too. We've got an extremely diverse group. But yeah, Ohio syrup and its importance has grown by leaps and bounds.
And that's what's really exciting. Like you said, you've got so many different people at different levels of what they want to do, and people can find out so much information about the maple industry and some really great maple recipes, right?
Absolutely.
On the website?
Absolutely. OhioMaple.org is your best resource. We do also have a Facebook page that any events coming up, any maple news, recipes, anything like that is a great resource for as well.
Anything else that you really want people to know about the maple industry in general?
Get out there and try it. Meet your makers. Go to the sugar house, experience what they experience, see how it's made, get some samples, and also see what all maple can be used for. It's not just for breakfast. You can use it as a sweetener. You can use it in your meats, in all of your meals.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So find out more and get involved in the maple industry in Ohio.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
In Medina, for In Ohio Country Today, I'm Amanda Mangan.